Hello, dear friend. It's Fabienne. Welcome back to the show. If you have been listening for a while, you know that I like to bring you topics that will be relevant and hopefully useful to your life and to your work. And today is no exception. My intention for today's episode is that it acts as a catalyst and really makes you see things differently going forward. And it's not the first time that we've talked about this, but I intend to take it even deeper. It's going to feel real, maybe tender, maybe eye-opening, because we're talking about something that so many heart-led women struggle with. And it is the people-pleasing pattern that's happening in your business. Now, let me just let that land. You might not think, oh, I'm a people pleaser. Or you might be nodding already saying, oh boy, I think you're right. Let me ask you this. Do you sometimes bend over backwards for your clients? Do you say yes to new opportunities even when your calendar is full just because somebody asked? Maybe you're working late to make up for what your team didn't finish, and you end up over-delivering, over-giving, overextending, overdoing, and you're exhausted, and you're wondering why you feel resentful, depleted, stuck, like you're not moving fast enough in your business. And if this is you, there's no shame here. So many, in fact, probably the majority of people that I talk to are doing the same thing. You're not alone. And everyone I'm talking to, whether they be new members of Bold Heart or just people I meet in my life, are doing people pleasing to such a degree that you would be shocked. So you are definitely not alone, and I'm not here to make you wrong because I catch myself doing the same thing sometimes. And most importantly, it's not your fault. It's not my fault. But so many women are doing this, people pleasing in their business, even at multiple 6, 7 figures, multiple 7 figures. And I want to say that this pattern actually starts from a beautiful place. It's a desire to serve. It's a desire to care for people, to give it your all. That is noble. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. The only time it doesn't work is when it's left unchecked. It becomes a form of self-abandonment. The kind of self-abandonment that keeps you from scaling your business and having much more free time. And before we fully dive into what to do about it, I think it's important to talk about why people-pleasing is stagnating your growth and how to begin rewriting the pattern. So what is people-pleasing and why is it so common for women entrepreneurs? Let's define it clearly. People-pleasing is when your need to be liked, approved of, or seen as helpful outweighs your own needs, your own values, your boundaries, or the priorities that you've set for yourself, your business, your life, your downtime. Did you hear that? I really want you to hear this. It's when your need to be liked or approved of is more important than your needs, your priorities, your business. I really want that to land with you. And it looks like this. Saying yes when deep down you want to say no. And that can happen with a client, with a team member, with a prospect who's pushing you for maybe, they're negotiating with you. It's when you say yes, even though deep down inside, you're screaming no. That's that self-abandonment we were talking about just a moment ago. It also shows up when you're avoiding speaking up about something that doesn't feel right, or you're avoiding setting boundaries just because you want to keep people happy or you don't want to rock the boat. It can also look like taking responsibility for other people's feelings or being the rescuer in a situation, somehow feeling responsible for other people's results, whether it be your client's results, your team's results, maybe, and I'm sure you're doing this at home too, right? Your kids' results. And then feeling guilty when you do prioritize yourself, feeling guilty when you say no. That is a sign that you're people pleasing. You know you shouldn't be doing it, right? Intellectually, you know this, but you still do it. And here's why I think this is especially common in women entrepreneurs. I'm not saying that men don't people please, but from my vantage point, having worked with tens of thousands of women in my coaching business, I have seen it is rampant. It's almost every woman I talk to. Every time I have a strategy call with someone, the topic of people pleasing comes up. I believe that we women were raised to please. I'm just going to say that again. We were socialized and raised to please others. Think about it. We're asked to be the good girl, the helper, the peacemaker. We are praised for being accommodating and selfless and flexible. Literally, our entire society has us believing that our worth and our value shows up when we are accommodating and selfless and flexible. And so when you're learning this as a young woman, as a child, especially under the age of 7, which is when on a subconscious level your identity forms, then as a grown woman running a powerful business, that same wiring tells us, don't disappoint. Don't rock the boat. Be nice. Don't ask for too much. And here's the problem. You can't scale a business by being nice. Now, I just want to make sure you know what I understand. I'm not saying you have to scale a business by being not nice. I'm not saying you have to be pushy or aggressive or the B word. That's not how I scale a business. I believe that you can't scale a business by being nice, but you can scale a business by being clear, by being focused, by being intentional and having boundaries. And sometimes a little fierce. And I don't mean fierce. I mean self-loving fierce, where you're fierce about aligning what you're doing with your values and really listening to that little voice inside that's saying, no, you don't want to do this. Don't say yes when you mean no. So let's talk about how people pleasing sabotages you scaling your business to 1 million or multiple 7 figures. Let's get really honest about what this pattern of people pleasing is costing you. Number 1, it is sabotaging your time. And in business, time is money, right? Every yes that you say to something that is misaligned is also a no to your own CEO time, to your exponential growth activities, to your strategy and your goals and what you want to create for your business. So when you say yes to somebody else, when you're people pleasing, you're basically screaming no at your own business. When you don't raise your rates because you're afraid that clients will leave or will be upset or there will be pushback, even though your work has evolved and your value has increased, if you don't raise your rates, it is keeping your business where it is and not where it should be going, meaning you should be making more money. So people pleasing around your rates just to make sure nobody's upset is actually doing the opposite for you. It's not doing you any favors. When you're people pleasing, scope creep starts to get rampant. And this is when you find yourself doing more than you agreed to, more than what's in your contract again and again, because maybe it feels awkward to say no, or you don't want to make the client unhappy, or you don't want to lose them by saying, oh, this is out of scope, or you don't want to seem greedy. But I have to say this, most of the time, a client knows exactly what's going on. They know that there's scope creep, but until you say something or you push back, they're going to keep taking from you. You may have heard that there are 2 types of people. There are givers and there are takers. And sometimes clients can be takers until you say no. until you say, yes, I'd be happy to help you with this. It's out of scope. Would you like me to give you a proposal for just this piece? The people pleasing can also show up when you give clients your cell phone number. And I know in some industries it's common, but then you end up picking up their calls even when you're with your family, in the middle of your work, or on vacation, right? And those clients feel that they can have you jump anytime they call you. And that's people pleasing too. What happens when you're people pleasing, or you're giving your phone number away, or you're answering every email the minute it comes in, is you never truly unplug. There's always that fear that if you don't respond to that email or that Voxer or that DM or that text, something will fall apart, or you don't look like you're responsive. And so you're training people by being hyper responsive that they can just lean on you much more heavily than they really should. People pleasing can also look like saying yes to people who are requesting to pick your brain. You know, that woman that you just met at a networking group, or even that long lost friend, and she calls you and says, oh, I really want to pick your brain about, whatever it is that you do. This has happened to me so many times. When people do that to me, they're basically asking for free coaching. And I have said, even to some of my best friends, what you're asking for is actually going to require 2 hours of my time. I don't even have that to give to my own business. And I know it ruffles people's feathers, but when your to-do list is overflowing and you make time for unpaid calls or advice giving because it feels wrong to turn people away, that is people pleasing. In the end, all of this drains your energy. Trying to make everyone happy is an impossible job. And what happens if you say yes again and again and again, or you bend over backwards, or you give of your time, of your effort, it leads to resentment. It leads to burnout and emotional fatigue. When I'm working with a woman in Bold Heart who is overwhelmed at 6 figures, or maybe overwhelmed at 7 figures, and she's resentful and she's burning out and she's so tired, it's one of the things I ask right away is, tell me about your people-pleasing tendencies. Because it's not that you don't have enough time, it's that you give it away freely without charging for it, even when you don't want to. When you people please with your team, it disempowers them as well. If you're always jumping in to save the day or save the project, the team can't feel autonomous. They can't grow, and you become the bottleneck. I know you're trying to do the right thing, but it's not serving anybody. And one thing that I've noticed is that people pleasing and being the rescuer actually repels high-level, high-ticket clients. Surprisingly, when you overgive, it doesn't attract better clients. It attracts boundary pushers and energy takers. All those looky-loos, those people who don't actually want to pay for something. High-ticket clients don't need you to people please. They need you to be in your mastery. And what I've learned is that people pleasing is a control strategy. It's your nervous system saying, if I can just keep everybody happy, then everything will go fine, and I'll be safe, and I'll be in control. But in business, that safety comes at the cost of your growth. It just doesn't serve you. And so, what do you do instead? What do you do about this? What is the alternative? I have found in a situation where I would have had a tendency to people please, that if I reconnect with my vision and I ask myself, what is my intention? What am I here to accomplish? And I get back to that vision, and then I ask myself, does this decision or what's being asked of me move me closer or further from that vision? I am being asked all the time, would you like to be part of this association? Would you like to be the head of the school? Blah, blah, blah. All these things. And I'm thinking, if I say yes to this, am I moving closer to moving my business forward, having more downtime, or further away from that vision? And I make a decision based on the answer to that. So ask yourself, what is my intention? And does this take me there or away from there? This next thing is going to sound a little difficult. It's me asking you, me inviting you to begin disappointing people on purpose. And I know that that's going to be really hard for you to hear, let alone do. But I said, yes, disappoint people on purpose. And I don't mean big disappointments. It's just about practicing small no's, right? It's saying no to small requests, to small invitations, to last minute asks. When you feel like there's not a lot at stake, practice saying no. Practice saying, thank you, but I can't. Thanks for thinking of me, but I won't be able to do that. And each time you practice saying no, and this feeling of disappointing people comes up, just know that it builds your tolerance for not being liked. And I know you don't want to be not liked, neither do I. But what it does is it strengthens your alignment. Each time you say no to others and feel the fear of not being liked, the stronger you feel about yourself and the more you will have respect for yourself. Try it. The next thing I recommend wholeheartedly is to delegate without guilt. There is a way that we women, again, have been raised, reared to feel guilty not doing everything ourselves. How many times have you heard a woman say, if it's meant to be, it's up to me? Here's where I want to push back a little, and I hope it's okay. Your job at this stage of your business is to lead. It is not to do everything. One of the things that I do when I'm working with a woman and preparing her to be on the path to 7 figures is have her think about her identity moving forward. You are no longer the doer. You are the visionary, you are the thinker, and you are the leader. You set the course, but you're not the one rowing every time. Let your team take the ownership. Delegate. Try delegating more than you're used to. Even if they're not going to do it perfectly, even if they're not going to do it as quickly as you will or as well as you will, delegate. And this is how I do it. Would you be willing to do this for me? Would you be willing to help me with this? Would you be willing to take this off my plate? When you do it that way, it changes everything. There's no more guilt, and people love to help. And I really want you to replace the belief of I must please people in order to succeed with I succeed when I'm aligned with my values and my vision. Or boundaries help me honor myself and where I'm going. Or even the right people will respect my limits. You can even say to yourself, I do not need to prove my worth by doing anything. I am worthy and valuable as is. And then, as we do in the Bold Heart Business Program, we do the somatic work. Why? Because people pleasing is stored in the body. It is on the subconscious. And so when you use things like EFT or tapping, breath work, solfeggio frequencies, EMDR, all of these things can release the nervous system's attachment to over-giving and people-pleasing. If you're using people-pleasing to control, to feel worthy, you can instead feel worthy without doing the people-pleasing. We've got to go inside and fix that. So we do this system regulation work in my program because it is transformational and the results come quickly. This is when you raise your rates. This is when you get back your time. This is when you don't let scope creep happen. This is when you can have the time to focus on exponential growth activities. So remember, your worth is not in how much you do for others. It's in who you are and the powerful vision that you're here to lead with your business. I just really want you to hear that you were not put on this earth to hustle for love or approval. You were never meant to build a 7-figure business by being everything to everyone. Instead, You are meant to lead and to create and to serve from a full glass, an overflowing glass, rather than depletion. And if this episode is speaking to you, I want you to know something deeply true. You can absolutely unlearn this people-pleasing pattern, and it doesn't have to affect your business any longer. And you can create elegant boundaries, and you can teach the people around you not to take advantage of you. And you can scale your business with more freedom and more joy and more integrity than ever before. This is what we're doing at Bold Heart. There's a reason I teach women how to do this. It's because it's women who need it the most. And if you'd like help doing this, I'd love to walk this path with you. If you haven't yet read it, please read my book, The Leveraged Business. It's the roadmap for scaling your business without burning out. And you can find it at boldheart.com. And while you're there, watch the film that's been made about our program and why it works. And if you know that you're ready to be supported, truly supported in stepping into the next level of you, the next level of leadership and ease, then book a free Get Acquainted call with us. Let's talk about where you are. Let's talk about what's holding you back or what's not working. Let's see where you want to go in 2 to 3 years and reverse engineer the plan together. You're not meant to do this alone. I'm here for you, and I'm sending you so much love. I really believe in you.